6 different things you should never say to a woman. And these are a bunch of different concepts I've seen over the years, coaching hundreds, if not thousands of men. So I want to start this off towards the beginning of the interaction, starting off with opening lines and approaching. Then we'll get into the middle of the conversation and mistakes I see men making there. And then even when it comes to going on date, texting girls. And these are just mistakes I've seen men make over the years, especially with girls that they even have been talking to for a while. So please watch this video in full. I don't want you to end up saying or doing one of these things and blowing it with one of the girls you're talking to that you really like. So let's get into point number 1 of what you should never say to a woman. And we're starting this off towards the initial approach, starting the interaction, which is what I call the apologetic or weak opener. Something along the lines of, hey, excuse me, I don't mean to bother you. I'm really sorry. I was just wondering if I could maybe ask you a question. It doesn't need to be that exact phrasing, but I hear a lot of dudes, they're almost apologetic when it comes to starting the interaction. They're literally saying, I'm sorry, I don't mean to bother you. I don't mean to like creep you out, but I was just wondering if maybe I could ask you a question, which is literally already asking the girl a question. All right, so it doesn't need to be this exact phrasing, but it's something along the lines of just opening extremely weak and giving off this underlying tone that you feel like you're interrupting the girl. You feel like you're taking away from the girl's day. Understand, guys, if you're going up to somebody to interact with them for the day, and whether that's to give them a compliment or try to just start a conversation, there is nothing wrong with that. You don't need to apologize for that. If anything, you should start to look at it like, I'm actually giving this person a good vibe and a good energy and a genuine compliment. For that reason, it's actually valuable. When you go in with the mindset of, I'm interrupting, I'm taking away from this person, they're gonna reject me, what I'm doing is weird or creepy, people will respond to that vibe and that energy that you're bringing into the interaction. So you always wanna change your mindset around this thing to look at it from the lens of, I'm giving value to the world, I'm putting out good vibes and good energy and compliments. And some people may be too busy or not connect with that, and that's okay. I don't take that personally. I let them go on their way.
Hey, excuse me. Hi. Okay. All right, take care.
But a lot of people will respond positively to this stuff. But it's on you to bring that good vibe and that good energy. And that starts off with having the right mindset behind the approach itself.
How's the smoothie? I said, how's the smoothie?
Really good.
I'm not gonna lie, I was literally like walking at the food court earlier, and I was like, yo, I need like a boba or some shit. We could get like 1 tea or some shit. I'll sit on the other side of the table, and that's it. Deal?
And now I want to talk about a slightly different mistake that I see men making early on in the interaction. And this is kind of the opposite. It's not like they're opening weak or apologetic. They actually open relatively confidently. But the mistake that they do is they open with a close. And it may even be with a confident, good vibe, like something along the lines of, hey, I just saw you and I thought you were really cute, but I was wondering if I could get your phone number. Hey, I just thought you were super cute. Could I get your Instagram by chance? It's essentially opening with a close. All right, and that's the last thing you would want to do when it comes to approaching a girl. You never want to open the interaction and then very quickly transition into a phone number or an Instagram within the first 30 seconds of the conversation. It just doesn't make sense. And I see this a lot online with the new TikTok Riz or on Instagram. A lot of these guys posting the POV glasses pickups where they just open the girl, they display intent, and within 15 to 20 seconds, they're just going for an Instagram or a phone number. And understand, guys, even if the girl's attracted to you, even if she's responding very positively, you want to take some time to actually connect with the girl. And the reason behind that is because women are not just instantly sold based off of the initial appearance of how you approach a girl. The first 5 seconds could buy you the next 15 seconds, which could buy you the next 2 minutes, which can buy you the next 5 to 10 minutes. And from my experience, running somewhere between a 5 to 10 to 15 minute interaction where you could flirt, tease, transition the conversation into deeper rapport building, build commonalities, figure out her availability, invite her out to come do an activity with you sometime, and then getting a phone number is a lot more ideal because now we actually have a plan in place. We've connected a little bit. She has a better understanding of who I am. And I'm not just some stranger who just pulled up to her really quick with some TikTok Riz to get a phone number. And another alternative for this point number 2, which is opening with a close, would be something else I see in the nighttime environments, which is going up to the girl and just saying, hey, I thought you looked absolutely beautiful. Could I buy you a drink? It's just too much too soon. And when it comes to this point in particular, you want to have a slower, more dragged out interaction where we can actually connect the girl can see a bigger sample size of my personality, and we can build up somewhat of a vibe over the next 5, 10, 15 minutes. And to play devil's advocate for this point, I could see a lot of dudes saying, well, not everybody's free to talk to you that long. And that's true, but that doesn't mean you just want to jump into going for a close. I'd rather you run the interaction, and if it seems like the girl's busy or she is legitimately in a rush, you could always walk with her and extend the interaction a couple of minutes. From my experience, if you can't even get the girl to stop to talk to you for a couple of minutes, it's very unlikely that she's going to just text you back and want to hang out with you. And even the girls that do give you their phone number in 1 minute of an interaction, you would have a much stronger phone number had you stayed in that interaction and ran it for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Which brings me into the next mistake that you want to avoid saying to a woman. Now that we've approached, we're in the interaction, we're not closing too soon. The next mistake that I see men making is doing this in the middle of the interaction. Something along the lines of, what school do you go to? Oh, John Jay? Awesome. What year are you in? Freshman? Nice. What's your major? Wow, psychology? Awesome. Do you like it? Doesn't need to be that topic of conversation, but it's the concept of asking a question, the girl gives the answer, you then repeat her answer back to her instantaneously with a high-pitched voice, and then proceed to go into the next question where she gives another answer. You then repeat that back to her. You go into the next question. She gives the next answer. You repeat that back to her. And that conversation loop of interview mode, question, answer, just continues to go over and over again until the vibe fizzles out, which can happen very quickly, by the way. And the way to get around that is when you do ask the girl a question and she answers you, you want to talk about your experience on that topic before just transitioning into another question. So if we're talking about her major being psychology, instead of just going into the next question of like, oh, what year are you in school? How long have you been in that school? What school is it? Do you like it? Talk about the topic at hand. She says she's in psychology. Say something about psychology before just transitioning. Give your experience on it. Say something like, oh, psychology, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting you to say that. Because honestly, just based off of your first impression, I would have guessed you were probably into either blank. Or a different direction you could go is, oh, psychology? Believe it or not, I've actually never taken a psychology course before, but it always intrigued me. So instead of going question, answer, and it goes into this boring loop that eventually fizzles out, instead of going into the next question, talk about your own experience on the topic at hand. Even if you don't have too much to say, you could even just say something like, psychology, that's interesting. Honestly, I don't really know too much about psychology. I've never taken a psychology class before, but I would imagine it's like blank. What part of it interests you the most? So you can talk about it a little bit before just transitioning into the next question. Even if you don't have too much to say about the topic, it just adds a little bit more flavor to the conversation, and it gives the person more of an opportunity to respond to what you're saying instead of question, answer, which is just fucking boring. And that brings me into the next point. Number 4, things you should never say to the girl when you're in the interaction is, hey, by the way, are you single? All right, I've seen a lot of dudes say this in the interaction. They're talking to the girl, and very early on, they just say, oh, do you have a boyfriend? Or, oh, are you single, by the way? And I understand the mindset behind this. You're essentially just trying to be polite, because I could see a lot of dudes saying, well, you don't want to flirt with a girl and ask her out if she has a man. That's rude. And I understand that. But you never want to do this, especially up front in the beginning of the interaction, because the moment you say that to the girl, it instantaneously implies that you want to date her. You are considering being her boyfriend. That's why you want to know if she's single. Because regardless of her answer, let's just say hypothetically she says, yes, I do have a boyfriend. Okay, cool. Well, then the conversation is going to instantly die right there. Or let's say she says, no, I don't have a boyfriend. Right away, she's going to then have to instantly look at you under the criteria of, is this man good enough to be my boyfriend? And if you do that at the very beginning of the interaction, it's going to pretty much force her to look at that criteria. And that's going to be a very high standard for her to evaluate you from early on in the interaction, because she's just not emotionally bought into you yet. So when you understand that concept, why would you force the girl to look at you under that criteria when she's not emotionally bought into you yet? That's why I don't like it. So instead, what you want to do is actually just run a conversation and pay attention to her engagement level. Is she responding enthusiastically? Is she giving you good body language, holding good eye contact? Is she participating in the conversation, asking you questions, smiling, reciprocating some kind of playful or flirtatious energy, assuming that you are injecting that? If the girl is doing those things, those are good indicators that she's most likely emotionally available. Otherwise, she wouldn't really be doing any of that stuff. So personally, I don't think you should ever just straight up ask the girl if you think she's single or not. I just don't see a benefit to it. I think it's a lose-lose situation. And instead, just pay attention to how engaged is this girl in the conversation. How is her body language, her vibe, her enthusiasm, her conversation? And based on that, you can proceed accordingly. Now let's move into things you should never say to a woman. Number 5, which is admitting to her that you're nervous in the middle of the interaction. Admitting to her that this interaction is a big deal to you. Or this could also be on a date, like admitting to the girl that you've been over the top excited or actually very nervous to finally meet up with the girl. And I understand the other perspective on this topic too, which is like, well, dude, if you're nervous, you should just own it. You should just state it to the girl and just get it out in the open and be a man about it. And I get that philosophy as a means of you kind of owning up to your emotions. And maybe there could be some benefit to that as a drill of you just practicing stating the fact that you're nervous, and over time seeing that like most of these girls aren't going to just treat you mean or explode on you for the fact that you're being weak or nervous. That could be eye-opening for some dudes. But understand, if I'm in any one specific interaction and I genuinely want to get that girl, I think that the moment you explain that to the woman, especially if she's very attractive or high quality, she may be polite and may actually engage with you further. But understand, you essentially just indirectly disqualified yourself from her. No girl genuinely wants to be with a man where she knows that he feels she's out of her league. And that's essentially what you're saying is, I'm really nervous. This is a really big deal to me. The thought of you is getting me in my head. But if you're talking to that one girl in particular where it is a big deal, or you really like this girl, or you're really attracted to this girl and you legitimately are nervous, I think personally from my own experience, I just would not say that. And I know there's some dudes saying that, well, if the girl actually treats you differently at the fact that you're just being open and honest about your nervousness, then she's not a high quality woman, or that girl doesn't have true manners and you should probably find a better girl. Honestly, guys, like that's not the reality of the situation. If somebody was really nervous around you or making you seem like a really big deal or pedestalizing you or being super fanboy when they're around you, you wouldn't be able to help but categorize them a certain way. I'm not saying you would talk down on that person. You just wouldn't see them as your equal. And that's just because of the nature of the way that they're acting. They treat you like a star. That's how you're going to perceive them, as a fan, okay? And essentially when you tell the girl you're extremely nervous, by default, you're pretty much saying that she's at a very high level. And just from experience, guys, because I've been on dates with women earlier on in my journey where I was really nervous, I was able to still get some of those girls by just playing it cool, being aware of my body language, and trying to go through the motions. Even though I was kind of nervous inside, I just took a deep breath, I chilled the fuck out, and I just ran the conversation using the right techniques of talking slow, holding good eye contact, injecting a smile, and just trying to play it cool. All right, over time, you'll calm down. I don't think you need to say that and then it becomes like this weird thing that you're nervous talking to the person. It's kind of creepy, honestly. So I would refrain from saying that. In my opinion, it kind of just kills the attraction off rip. And even now, if there's a really, really attractive girl that I see walking around Miami and I don't see that many girls of that caliber, I will still be a little nervous going up and making the approach just because you don't see women like that frequently. I still run the interaction. Maybe there's a little bit of nerves in the beginning of the interaction. I'm not going to open and say that though. Like to me, that doesn't work, especially not on the really attractive women. You got to just play it cool, act like you've been there before, take your time with it. And as you go further into the interaction, you'll calm down. And if you guys want to learn more about how to properly do this process to build your social confidence and land that abundant dating life that you really want, you can click the link below and check out my brand new coaching program. Extremely affordable offer going on for right now, guys. Click the link below and just check out the video. I'd love to have you inside of the group. Comes with a 30-minute in-depth one-on-one coaching call directly with me. I'll customize out exactly what you need to go through right now to start taking action, to start getting results. There's a daily live coaching call going on with me every single day inside the community. You also have access to all the content. The community itself is popping. I also just made an event inside the group that we have a live event going on in the upcoming months. So really exciting stuff coming up. It's all going down inside the program. Click the link below. Check it out right now. That's all for this video, guys. Peace out.